Okay. So welcome, Anne Marie Hatfield. I'm here to talk about scholarships this month. All right. So I'm going to share my screen. Let's give that a minute. My partner in crime, Mike, isn't here with us today, or he'd be helping me run run interference in terms of the screen here. So let's see. I still want to be able to see your face. I don't think I'm going to do presentation mode. I'm just going to shrink this a little bit so everybody can see this. I still want to be able to see your faces. And it looks like I'm kind of able to do that. All right. So welcome, welcome. All right, so today is all about scholarships. We are going to talk about what scholarships are, where to find them, how to apply, and then I'm going to be addressing your questions as well. Everybody's going to be muted to begin with. If you do have questions, please feel free to put them in the chat. This looks like a Zoom thing. At the bottom of your Google Meets screen, you'll see a little thought bubble. It's all the way over to the right-hand side. If you'll click on that little thought bubble, if you have questions, I'm more than happy to answer any questions that you may have. Okay, so let's talk about what scholarships are. Scholarships are free money. Never has to be paid back. Some universities are going to call them merit-based aid. Some universities are going to call them merit aid. An important thing to remember about scholarships is that some of them are only for 1 year and some of them are for 4 years. And so most of the scholarships that the students will get from the university are going to be 4-year scholarships. And so in most cases, you don't have to worry about that. But if you get a scholarship through the Lake Travis Education Foundation or the Spicewood Arts Society, chances are those are only 1-year scholarships. So you're going to want to make sure that you know whether or not it's only for a year or for 4 years. And then there are two main types of scholarships. Money that is offered through the university itself and money that you can find outside of the university or through local entities as well. And we'll talk about both of those. Okay, scholarships from the university. The majority of the money your students are going to get for college is going to come from the actual college itself. Here's your $10,000 renewable every year for 4 years, as long as you maintain a certain GPA. That comes from the actual university itself. In most cases, I'd say 95% of the cases, the admissions application that the students submit to see whether or not they're going to be able to get into that university also serves as the scholarship application itself. Usually merit-based aid, scholarships that are given by the university, is determined by the GPA plus the SAT, ACT scores if they are submitted and they are not test optional, and in some cases added to that the resume. So your extracurricular activities, your community service, things of that nature as well. As I mentioned, usually the admissions application is also the scholarship application. There are a couple of exceptions here that I always like to bring up because the University of North Texas and the University of Arkansas have their own scholarship applications. And a lot of our kids are going to apply to the University of Arkansas. And so it's going to be really important to know that. In some cases, the universities will require a separate scholarship. And the way the student can find out about that, unfortunately, is through email. And we all know they don't do a very good job of checking email. So it's going to be really important for your students to go to their email search folder and type in the name of a university and scholarships and see what pops up because sometimes they might surprise you. Okay, so that's merit-based aid that's usually offered through the university. Some universities have a chart on their website that will say if this is what your GPA is and here's what your SAT score is, here's how much money we're going to give you. Some universities are very specific about it. Some universities also offer donor scholarships, but again, those are usually included within the admissions application. The way that I phrase it is a lot of really rich people gave a whole bunch of money to universities, and they only want their money to go to specific people. So for our seniors that are on the call today, if you apply to Texas Tech or Texas A&M, they'll ask if you went to Cavazos High School in Odessa, Texas. And you're like, oh my God, that's such a random, such a specific question. Why would they ask that question? Because a lot of university donors only want their money to go to specific people. And so that's money that is donated by individuals like yourselves, or corporations, etc. And then there's other scholarships that are offered through the university, sometimes through the Alumni Association, sometimes through the department. Like if your student is majoring in architecture or business or engineering, maybe the architecture, business, or engineering colleges have special scholarships as well. I also like to remind people that even if you are a current student at that university, if you are a freshman, sophomore, junior, or senior at a university, there are scholarships that are potentially going to be available to you as well once you go to that university. For the scholarships that are through the different departments, chances are it's almost always a separate application. The merit-based regular scholarships that the universities are going to give out is usually determined through the admissions application. These specialty scholarships are usually have a separate application through usually that department. Okay. Through College Inroads, your students have access to a website called Imagine Scholarships. And this is where we are starting to talk about local scholarships or outside scholarships. Imagine Scholarships is a national scholarship search site. The student creates a profile, and in that profile will include keywords. Your ethnic background, what you want to major in, the state that you live in, the school that you want to go to, your extracurricular activities, anything personal, if you have any health issues, your religion, your favorite color. Sometimes they have scholarships for kids with red hair. And so you put in these these differentiating characteristics into the profile as well. And then the Imagine Scholarship search site is going to go look for scholarships that contain those keywords. And then they're going to pop them up. Now the student is going to have to do the heavy lifting. They're going to have to read all of the descriptions to make sure that they would qualify for that scholarship. But if there is an application that needs to be completed, their application specialist can certainly help them with that. If there are essays that need to be brainstormed and critiqued, we can go through that whole essay process with you as well. But it is online, it is self-driven, and it is the student's responsibility to do the search. This is open to both juniors and seniors. So if we have any juniors that are on the call right now, you can start searching for scholarships right now. There are more than $9 billion worth of quality, up-to-date scholarships within the system. There's more than 10,000 of them. Interestingly enough, Imagine Scholarships is located in Georgetown, north of Austin. And so they are here locally, although it is a national scholarship search site. And there are lots and lots of scholarships, even internationally. Somebody got a question, Miss Morrison. You want to come off of mute and ask your question?
No, I'll wait till later. Thank you.
Thanks. Of course. By the way, if your student has not registered for Imagine Scholarships, all they have to do is go to their chat room and just to ask for the login, and one of our admin team will register them for the Imagine Scholarships, and then share with them the login and the password. So pro tip, by the way, the Imagine Scholarships search site also has internships. And so your students should be searching for internships. They can do so as well through Imagine Scholarships. So just know that that is part of the process that we offer to you, and the students have access to Imagine Scholarships. Strongly, highly, emphatically encourage them to spend some time over the holidays searching for scholarships. Half hour a day is a great way to do that. Okay. Outside local scholarships, these are scholarships that are separate from the scholarships that are offered through the university. Many of them have different criteria. It depends on who's awarding the scholarship. If it's through the Spicewood Arts Society, chances are it's going to have something to do with art. And you're going to have to either, paint something or submit a piece of artwork if you are interested in that particular scholarship. There are lots of different places to look for these types of scholarships. These outside local scholarships are usually only 1-year scholarships. A separate application always has to be completed. They're usually smaller dollar amounts, 500 here, 1,000 there, but those it certainly adds up. And we encourage you to start locally and then expand out. Where to find the scholarships is always the next question. I am going to be sending out an email that's going to look very similar to this to all of the students and to the parents for all of our seniors. That's going to go out Monday of next week. Because as I mentioned earlier, the winter holidays are always going to be a great time to do some scholarship searching. Most kids will have the entire week of Thanksgiving off. And if you get tired of listening to grandpa snoring on the couch after eating all that turkey on Thanksgiving night, the students can go to their bedroom and do some searching for some scholarships. Again, the whole month when they're off of school for winter break is always going to be a great time to look for local scholarships. As I mentioned earlier, the college's website is always going to be a great place to go look for scholarships. So go to Texas A&M University, I think it's texasamm.edu, and in the search bar, type in scholarships. And then you will see a gigantic listing of all of the scholarships that kids who apply to and attend Texas A&M University, can qualify for. A lot of them are going to have alumni association, or as I mentioned earlier, college departmental scholarships. And that's the place that you're going to find them. Students, I would encourage you strongly to go to your email and type in scholarships in the search bar in your email. And maybe you're going to find a University of Arkansas scholarship application. Or maybe you'll find a scholarship application that you weren't aware of. So I would definitely encourage you to go to your email, especially the email that you use to apply to universities, type in scholarships and see what pops up. If you are involved in school activities, if you are involved in the band or on the football team, or you're part of cheer or dance or whatever, a lot of times those booster clubs are going to have scholarships that are available to kids that participate in those activities. So I definitely encourage you to reach out to your extracurricular activities, the sponsors of those extracurricular activities, to try to see if they offer scholarships as well. Sometimes the company that your parents work for will offer scholarships to the kids of their employees. Parents, a lot of times the human resources department at the jobs that you work at, or the companies that you work at, will have that information. A lot of times there's an application that has to be completed, essays that have to be written as well. But if your dad works for Dell, I know that Dell gives out scholarships. Dell and Apple both give out scholarships to the kids of those employees. So check with the HR department. If you attend a house of worship, a lot of times the house of worship, the church or the synagogue or what have you, will have scholarships available to their congregants. If you are an Eagle Scout, Eagle Scouts have, the National Eagle Scout Association has scholarships available. Even if you aren't an Eagle Scout, if you're only just a Boy Scout and you never made it to the Eagle, they still have scholarships that are available to kids that are Boy Scouts. Girl Scouts also have scholarships. I think most of the scholarships for the Girl Scouts are mostly for Gold Award winners, but that's worth a look-see if you are a Girl Scout. You can apply for micro scholarships through an organization called Raise.me. Some universities will pay you $5 for every A that's on your transcript. And so Raise.me is always going to be a great place to go look for those micro scholarships. Some of the larger scholarship search sites are listed here, like FastWeb, or the College Board has a scholarship search, FinAid, Sally Mae, scholarships.com, etc. I will warn you that you're going to have to register for accounts at these different websites, and unfortunately, you're probably going to get a lot of spam. So I just want to preface that. But there's always going to be scholarships that are going to be available through these sites. A really great place to look is through your high school's education foundation. I happen to be the chair of the scholarship committee for the Lake Travis Education Foundation. We gave out more than $89,000 just to kids that graduated from Lake Travis High School last year. And so the kids that go to Lake Travis that are clients of ours, everybody knows when the application opens and when it closes, because I do a lot of communication around those Education Foundation scholarships. If you didn't go to Lake Travis, I'm sure the Education Foundation of your high school more than likely is going to offer some type of scholarships. They will always have applications. More than likely, you're going to have to write essays and get letters of recommendation, just like you would like you were applying to college. But like I said, through Lake Travis Education Foundation, we gave out over $89,000. So there's money out there for us. And then probably the best resource for high school for scholarships locally is through your high school counselor. I've listed a couple of different websites here, but Lake Travis High School counselors have a scholarship bulletin. So does Westlake, so does Bowie, so does LASA. Almost every high school counseling office is going to have a scholarship search or have a scholarship site where they are going to publish scholarships that they're made aware of. So just know that you and your students are going to get an email that's going to look very similar to this slide, because I pulled this slide directly off of the email that I send every year to give you places to look for local scholarships. As your students are getting notified of the scholarships that they are receiving, please, 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 please make sure that they are letting us know that this is happening. And the way they do that is go to the application outline. And on the application outline, once they have clicked that they have been accepted at that university, one of the little tabs that's going to pop up below that is going to ask if they've received any scholarships. If that's a yes, it's going to ask for additional information. You know, was this for academic? Was this for arts? Was this for music, etc.? And then it's going to ask for the title, and it's going to ask for the amount. Please, 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 either you as parents do this for us or have your students do this for us, because we keep track of all of this information. These metrics are very, very important to us. So please, please, please help us keep track of all of the scholarships that your students are receiving. Okay, next steps. I would encourage the students to check their emails for additional scholarships applications. I encourage the students to hit the college's website, go to the search bar, type in scholarships, and look at all of those scholarships. And then the kids have to find the ones they qualify for. We can be a resource for them and helping them find places to look for the scholarships. Pardon me, but they have to be the ones to do the heavy lifting. Read the descriptions to make sure that they qualify. Again, we can help with the applications and the essays if that type of help is needed. All right. So that is the presentation. I am going to stop sharing my screen. I am going to ask for questions. And I think I have a question in the chat, so let me pull that up quickly. Do they have access to Imagine scholarships while they are in college? That's a good question. I believe they only have access to Imagine through us for their, junior, senior year of high school. Imagine is available to students that have graduated, but the license through us will probably have expired, and you might need to pay for that on their own. But yeah, they do have access to that when they're in college, and that might be really good for internships as well. So if they're having problems finding internships, that might be a good way to look for additional internships as well. Miss Morrison, you had a question. Did you want to come off of mute?
Yes, actually. I'm getting that. This is about the FAFSA stuff, actually. So, I'm getting information back, um, or anytime that we go on it to the colleges that my daughter has applied for, it's asking for FAFSA information, but we already submitted it. So I'm just wondering, do I
Yeah.
need to do anything?
No, more than likely, the information that you're getting from the universities is generic information because they don't, even if they check it off as received in the student's web portal, a lot of times they just do a mass blast and it says, you know, here's how to file and here's when to file. And so if you're getting emails like that and you have already filed FAFSA,
Uh-huh.
for the most part, you can ignore them.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yep. And, you know, financial aid forms are optional. And so they aren't required. And so even if you're getting those type of forms and you didn't file, then you don't have to. A lot of times they kind of try to twist your arm because they want to see your financial information. But
Okay.
yeah, they twist your arm and they make you feel like it's required and it's not required. It's completely optional. Okay, did I answer your question, Miss Morrison? Do you have any other
Yes,
questions?
thank you.
Okay, of course, happy to help. Mr. Robin asked, to get an account, have the student ask for a username. Yes, sir. All they have to do is in their chat room is just say, I need access to Imagine. That's all they have to say. And our admin team will make sure that they get registered and they get a login for that. Can you use the same, thanks for that. Can you use the same recommendation letters for scholarship that, yes, in most cases, you can use the same letters of recommendation for scholarship applications. Even the local ones, we see that a lot. Unless I would just say that I would read the fine print because some scholarships are going to want letters of recommendation from specific people. So if you have a letter of recommendation from the math teacher and they really want it from the science teacher, you might have to go and get it from the science teacher. But in most cases, you should be able to use the same letters of recommendation for scholarships as well as for the ones that your student got for the admissions application. Are there any scholarships that do not affect the family contribution? Mr. Pardee, I'm assuming you are asking about the difference between need-based aid and merit-based aid. Need-based aid is based on the family contribution. Scholarships are completely separate from that. Need-based aid is grants, which is free money and loans. If you've ever heard of the Pell Grant, for example, that is a grant that never has to be paid back, but that is based on the family's financial situation. Scholarships, merit-based aid is based solely on the student. GPA, class rank, resume, red hair, etc. Mr. Pardee, I hope that answered your question. Can you send an opt-out form if we are not doing a FAFSA? Yeah. Mr. Swanson, the high school is going to want the opt-out form. The college doesn't care about the opt-out form. The opt-out form is solely for the high school because the Texas legislature made filing either the FAFSA or the FAFSA opt-out form as a requirement for graduation here in Texas. So you wouldn't necessarily send the opt-out form to the universities. You just don't send the financial aid form, that's all. For universities which combine both admissions and scholarships at one, is that right? That once you are admitted, it means automatic, yes, automatic consideration for scholarships, not automatic awarding of scholarships. So if the university only doesn't have a separate application for scholarships, only uses the admissions application as the scholarship application as well, once the application is submitted, then they will automatically be considered for scholarships, yes. In general, would you say that most scholarships are specifically for tuition, or they're just generally, it's just money. It doesn't matter what you put it for. You know, chances are they're going to say, okay, the college costs $50,000 and we are giving you a $20,000 scholarship. They don't care if you use that for housing or whatever. They just subtract that from the bill. When do we need to file FAFSA opt-out form by? Year by the time the student is going to graduate. And so a lot of FAFSA opt-out forms are being submitted right now because FAFSA opened in October. And so you just go ahead and fill out the opt-out form, you send it to the high school. If you don't do that now, when they start looking at graduation requirements, next semester in March, April, May, that time frame, they're going to reach out to you and say, hey, where's your FAFSA or your FAFSA opt-out form? So you can send that to them now. You can send that to them when they request it in the spring. Is this webinar recorded to rewatching? Yes, this webinar is recorded, and it will be under files in your Students College Inroads website. And I believe that's under monthly client webinars. So yeah, you'll see a recording of this. What other questions, if any, do you have for me?
So I have a question to follow up on how to use the scholarship money.
Sure.
So the answer you gave, was that for the scholarships that are given by the college or any
Correct.
scholarship?
Yeah, that's a really good point. That's a really good point. So the $20,000 that's given by the university, they're just going to subtract that from the bill. For the local scholarships, I only know the way that we do that through Lake Travis Education Foundation, and the foundation actually mails a check to the university that goes into the student's account. And so most of the local scholarships are going to do that. I'm not sure, like I said, through LTF, we send it to the university instead of sending it to you. So it would just depend on the issuer as to how they're going to submit the money to the university. Did that answer your question, Mr. Iyer?
Yes, I just want to make sure that there was no restriction on how we use it.
No, I mean, if there is, they are going to be very specific about that. But I've never seen a scholarship that has said, can only be used for tuition or what have you. I've never seen that.
If I have a question, another question.
Yes.
If my daughter recently was accepted to a couple schools, and one of them, she got a letter of acceptance and the scholarship. If she got for the other one, we haven't seen the same kind of thing. Does that mean she didn't get anything?
Not at all.
Okay.
Every university is different. Everybody's different. Sometimes you're going to get one letter that says, congratulations, you've been accepted. And oh, by the way, here's your $20,000. Sometimes you're going to get an acceptance letter, and then 3 weeks later, you're going to get the scholarship announcement. Sometimes you're not even going to know until you get the financial aid award letter when they tell you how much money how much money you have to pay them, how much money they gave you. So everybody's different. Sometimes they're going to send it in a letter in the mail. Sometimes it's going to be in the student portal that the university sets up for them. Sometimes it's in the email. Everybody's different. Okay. Which is a little frustrating because it's hard to be able to tell, right? And then, if you're not sure, I would probably call the university's financial aid office and say, when can we expect to find out any scholarships? Yep. Based on all the resources provided, there isn't a one-stop shop for scholarships. And in what order do you recommend tackling it? That's a really good point. I would 100% do scholarships at the university first, especially the ones that they're automatically going to qualify for. And then I would start going local. But I would go local and then expand out. And so I would look at the Education Foundation. I would see if the high school counselor has a link on their website to scholarships, because most of them do, because those are scholarships only for the students that go to that high school, which is a much smaller pool of people to be able to choose from. And believe it or not, you know, a lot of kids don't apply for the local scholarships. I was good friends with the Rotary person that was here local. And, you know, every March she would reach out to me and say, hey, can you please help me spread the word? We have 10 scholarships to give out and we only have 4 applications. And so there's definitely money out there. But Mr. Robin, I would definitely start local first. Start with the university, because that's the majority of the money that you're going to get is through the university, right? Especially that merit-based aid that's automatically going to be considered for. But then I would start local and then expand out. So I'd go to the Education Foundation. I would go to Imagine. I would go to the high school counselor's website and look at the scholarships there, right? And then I would probably step up from there. You know, I'd probably do like the fast web and all of that probably as a last resort. Because again, you're going to have to sign up to FastWeb. You're going to have to sign up for an account. You're going to get spammed within an inch of your life. And they have probably 1 million scholarships on there. It's really, really difficult to try to wade through all of that stuff. So can you recommend on which schools generally are likely to give merit aid? Nope, I sure cannot, because everybody's different. I will say just in general that most private schools are going to give more merit-based scholarships. And so when you see the $20,000, most time that's going to come from private schools like Baylor or TCU or Southwestern or, you know, schools like that. Those are the schools that are probably going to give out the larger amounts of money, you know, but Texas State might give out 3,000. I think the presidential scholarship for Texas Tech is like 7,000. And so it really just depends. It really just depends. UT, not going to give away a lot of scholarships because I don't have to. Same with A&M, not a ton of scholarships from the universities. So, you know, it's really hit or miss. It really is. I will say that the private schools are going to go give away more money because they have bigger margins. The public universities have much smaller margins. Obviously, the price is going to be a lot lower as well. So I hope that answers your question. What other questions do you have for me about scholarships? Sorry.
The Lake Travis scholarship fund or something that you mentioned.
Lake Travis Education Foundation.
Is that only for kids in the Austin area, or is that for all over Texas?
No, that's for Lake Travis Education Foundation is only for kids that go to Lake Travis High School.
Oh, okay.
The you know, sorry.
So I'm based in the Dallas area. So do you have any?
So Frisco ISD is going to have an education foundation. And so I would go to Google and I would type in the Independence High School, Frisco, Texas Education Foundation, whatever school your son goes to. That'll give you whether or not they have one and whether or not that education foundation offers scholarships.
Okay, got it.
Yeah. What other questions do you have?
How many of these Imagine ones are not local? So that we know which ones to apply for and which ones not to apply for, right?
I mean, there's 10,000 scholarships in there. And I'd say they're all local. But maybe it's only for kids that are going to Eastern Michigan who want to major in, you know, underwater basket weaving. And so it's going to be important because if there's a keyword in the description of the scholarship that is in your student's, you know, profile, then it's automatically going to pull it up. And they might not qualify for that because maybe they're not going to Eastern Michigan, or maybe they are, but they're not going to major in underwater basket weaving or what have you. So
I really want to see how they do underwater basket weaving, though.
I know, right? I know, right? Any other questions? How else can I help? Eanes, yes, Eanes ISD has an education foundation. Sure does.
Sorry, I don't know if you answered that question already. when is the best time to, because my daughter has got acceptances from both UT Dallas and UT San Antonio.
Congratulations.
So when is the best time to apply for scholarships for these universities?
Now, right now.
Right now?
100% right now. And that's why we have this conversation about scholarships is right after you've applied and you've started to get some acceptances. Now is a great time to start applying for scholarships. And then I would say between now and January, most of the scholarships are gonna expire right between now and January. So I would definitely search now. But again, this is a great activity for the students to do over winter break when they have the time. Right? They're in the middle of midterms or whatever right now, or the last test in their projects and papers. They need to be focused on their academics right now. When they have a little bit of time off and they have a little bit of a break is a really good time to search.
Okay. And then those applications are all based out of the student portals for those universities, correct?
For the scholarship applications, no, they can go through different organizations.
Okay.
So if you go to your high school's counselor's website, you click on the link, there might be an application to a scholarship there. So yeah, they're all over the place.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Vandergrift High School used to be the Viper Foundation. I believe that's now been rolled into the Leander ISD Education Foundation. Besides scholarships, are there other things we should have top of mind relating to college right now or in the next month? I will say that you can put down housing deposits for maybe the top 3 or 5 schools on your students list. A lot of times those deposits are going to be refundable. Sometimes a university is going to make you wait until the student has either been accepted or commits. And so just make sure you're reading a fine print when you're putting down these housing deposits. Housing deposit that it is refundable is completely fine. But if it is an enrollment deposit, we cannot put down an enrollment deposit because that it commits your student to going to that school. So as long as that is non-binding, it's a good idea to go ahead and put down housing deposits. That's really the most important thing. And then, then it's going to be checking the portals, making sure that the universities have every piece that they need to make a yes or no decision. The housing thing is really important. I hope that answers that question. And then, remember too, that even though you're getting a bunch of acceptances now, the students have until May 1 to make their decision. The universities are going to kind of twist your arm to get you to commit early. But just remember, they have until May 1. So don't let them force you into doing something they're not ready to do yet. We want to wait until we make that decision, until we figure out how much college is going to cost. And that's going to happen in the spring. And so I would wait. You get to do whatever you want because you are adults. You get to do whatever you want. But I would encourage you to have your students wait until you figure out how much college is going to cost.
So if a college has sent you an acceptance, right? So my son got 2 acceptances like UTD and A&M. So
Yay.
are you saying even for those we can wait until
Yes.
May to decide?
100%.
And they won't
They're
pull up?
not going to lose their place in line. If they have been accepted, they don't have to, you don't have to do anything now.
Okay.
You don't have to do anything now. Yeah, you're good. You're good. They're not going to take it away if you wait until May 1. Who else has questions?
Is the housing just for the housing deposit? You were saying to go ahead and do that if it's anyway. Is that just because they'll get better housing, or what's,
Yeah, and it saves
what's
the room at the inn. I mean, a school like UT Austin, they have 9,000 kids want to sleep in 5,000 dorm rooms, and so UT does not have enough dorm rooms for all the kids that want to sleep in them. And so that just kind of saves your place in line. It gives you the opportunity. And then if your student decides to go elsewhere, they don't get into the university, especially in a case like UT, then you get your money back, usually.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome. Any other questions? Going once. Going twice. I think I got everybody in the chat taken care of. Well, thanks so much. Hope this was helpful. Remember, you're going to be getting an email from me beginning part of next week with a lot of the similar information that I put in here. You can apply prior to deciding school. Yes, you absolutely can apply prior to deciding on the school, 100%. Somebody had their hand raised. Did you drop your hand? Do you still have questions?
I think they were trying to give you a thumbs up.
Oh, thanks. Thanks for the thumbs up.
Yep. And
All
I
right.
think that when my son applied for housing at UT Austin, I think he had applied when there was no application fee needed. So they said you don't need anything to put down even for housing. So he got to
Awesome.
apply for housing even without putting down anything.
Oh, that's amazing. Congrats.
Yep.
Nice that it worked out that way. That's
Yep.
awesome.
All right.
Well,
Thank you so much.
Thanks so much, guys. I hope this was helpful, and we look forward to seeing you soon.
Yeah, bye.
Appreciate it. Thanks so much.
Thank you.